Yeah, this job, boy, I tell you, I call this a fugly job. These are Monterey cypress. This one's barely alive. It's got a lot of dead branches in it. And this one just died. And I call it a fugly job because it ticks off all the boxes for being really ugly and really hard. I mean, it's next to a really busy road. The traffic is coming by. A lot of these cars are doing 50 and 60 miles an hour right next to where we have to chip. We got high voltage power lines. We got low lines. We've got another contractor over there. You see them up in that way. So they're working on cell towers. The brush from this is hard to chip. It's got, you know, little stuff that's coming down in your eyes. It's just sticky. It ticks off all the boxes for being one of the worst. So what are your worst trees in your area? What trees do you hate working on the most? I think this one's right up there. This is one of the top ugly ones. But all that being said, the wood in a Monterey cypress is quite beautiful. There just doesn't happen to be a very straight trunk. Maybe a little bit from here to there. You can get probably a 4-foot log out of it. Might be worth it. You know, I got a lot of clients that I've been working for a long time. On this particular client, I can kind of judge how long that I've been working here by some of the trees. And there's a quick little story I wanted to tell you in this little round circle right here. Back when I first started working for this guy, some 30 some odd years ago, maybe 35 years ago, there was a significant redwood tree in this circle. It was probably 32 to 36 inches in diameter. It was a tall tree, and the stump was like a big burl, and it suckered out, and suckers kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And he asked his gardener if there was a way of managing the suckers, so the gardener sprayed the suckers with Roundup, and the tree died. So I remember when this little tree was planted. Now this crepe myrtle is probably, oh, I don't know, that's about 16 inches at the base. You know, he did bring in a decent sized box tree, but it was only about 3 or 4 inches in diameter when he planted it. So trees are a good way of thinking about how long you've been doing things. And when I see little trees turn into big trees, damn, I'm getting old. Another part of our job that we have to do every year is keep these fruitless mulberries trimmed back, otherwise they come out and they hang down too low on both sides, and he likes to keep the top down because he's got somewhat of a view of the mountainside. So every single year we end up shaping these things. We don't pullard them, we just make lots and lots and lots of little pulponer cuts all the way around, and the trees look reasonably good. It's a little bit excessive, but you can see that a long time ago, before we started working here, he did have somebody cut this tree back severely, and you can see where the hard cuts are, and all of this came back from the stump. And over time this tree has slowly bent over, and the one behind it is also a tree that is slowly bending over. There was a deodar cedar there that died last year, and he's got a couple of redwood trees. He's got another Atlas cedar over there. This mulberry right here did fall over a few years ago, and it had been cut back hard by the gardeners a number of times, and we were able to push it back up and put a prop underneath it until some of the roots came back. Still not seated really well in the ground. I shouldn't be able to move that trunk, and it's barely hanging in there, but it is hanging in there. It does have some greenery. He does like the privacy that it gives, because this guy is right next to a very, very busy road. A lot of wildlife in the area too. And finally, you know, this is a type of tree that should have a very, very full, dense canopy. if you look at it from a distance, it didn't look too bad, but if you look at it from underneath, you can see that this tree's probably only got about 25% of the foliage that it should have. So it's very likely infected with the pitch canker disease that is going through so many of our cypress trees. In our area, there's a lot of different species of cypress. One of the most common one is the Monterey cypress, and we've got the Leland cypress, the Italian cypress, kind of a rare one called the Hinoki cypress, which is a very slow-growing tree, and the Arizona cypress. And like I said, unless somebody corrects me and says absolutely wrong, that's what my gut says that this tree is. Arizona cypress. Sorry, I can't remember the botanical name. Cypressus something another. Well, I asked my mentor, her name is Siri, and it's Cypressus arizonica. That's the way it was pronounced to me anyway, and I believe that's what it is. We have 3 birch trees in the front yard, and the woman said that she believed that these trees were topped in the past, but this looks like this was broken out. That's kind of odd. And if you look at it with that one also looks like it was broken out, and that one up there looks like it was broken out, which is a shame because these areas of weakness are going to cause this trunk to hollow out, and eventually all these branches are going to split off. So what do you do in a case like that? I suppose you can go up there and lighten the weight of it all the way around, reduce the strain on the tree, but I don't want to do anything without talking to her about it. It's been like this quite a long time, and it's kind of hard to tell just how deep it is. Maybe I'll cut off a stick and probe it. So I broke off a piece of wood and I'm shoving it down inside here, and I can feel it's all spongy, and I can see that there's water down inside there. What do we do? Well, I'll bring it to the client's attention, and then we'll come up with a game plan. These birch trees are also being attacked by the sapsucker. You see all the damage on the bark there. Sapsucker is a bird that's kind of like a woodpecker that lives off of the sap, and it's really hard to see, but they seem to pick in certain areas, and quite often they'll pick in one spot and then move and pick and pick and pick, and that's why you have all these circular patterns. A number of trees in our area seem to be attacked by this little bird. Quite often I'll see them on English walnuts as well. But birch trees are quite common. It goes way up there too. And not every bit of the birch trees, of each of these birch trees, is being attacked. That one over there, you can see there's some marks, 1, 2, 3, they almost look like bullet holes. I'm up in the other birch tree, and this one also has a significant hollowing. I don't know if you can see down in there, but it goes down to a pretty punky area. It's probably about a foot deep or so. My first thought was that it was cut off at a time at an angle, but that wouldn't explain these ratty edges right here. So I'm gonna go back to what I said before, that all 3 of these trees must have had some kind of torrential winds come through or something and blew the tops out. And there's a few areas up here. So this whole side on the right here has become the second top. And this area right here is going to cause all of this to eventually go away. Got to go back and check my records, but about 5 years ago, this section of this Bradford pear split off. And they called me out here and asked me if we could save it. And I could read that there was a split line in here. Matter of fact, look at that. That's kind of interesting. You can see where the original stake strap is still in the tree. So this is about 5 years of cambium growth on this split. Like I said, I got to check my record to see how long ago it was, but we came in and we hard cut this tree. Basically, we topped it. It was either that or get rid of it. So today, I'm looking at an awful lot of weight up there, and I believe that what we're going to have to do is go up in each one of these sections and take out 1 or 2 of each of the new sprouts and lighten it up significantly all over. There's a spot where there's about 4 or 5. I'll take that down to 1 or probably I'll leave 2 or 3 there. And after we've thinned it all out, then I'm going to go back up and I'm going to reduce it again, not as dramatically, but I'm going to bring it down to get rid of some of the leverage. Sometimes you don't have any options. You know, topping is not right unless that's the only option that you have to save a tree, or if it's under the power lines, or if the tree is damaged. Sometimes I've seen trees get hit by lightning and the top gets blown out. So you go up to clean up the damaged part. But if it's a good tree, don't start by topping a tree. Don't get hung up in that term pollarding. I mean, that's basically screwing up a tree. If you could take care of it properly, this could have been a nice tree. But unfortunately, the species is prone to splitting.